Hello everyone. So in continuation with the last lesson, today I'll begin with the concluding two stanzas, the 7th and the 8th stanza of the choric song and of the poem The Lotos Eaters. Now first I'll begin with the 7th stanza. But propped on beds of amaranth and moly, how sweet, while warm airs lull us, blowing lowly, with half-dropped eyelids still, beneath a heaven dark and holy, to watch the long bright river drawing slowly his waters from the purple hill, to hear the dewy echoes calling from cave to cave through the thick twined vine, to watch the emerald-colored water falling through many a woven acanthus wreath divine, only to hear and see the far-off sparkling brine, only to hear was sweet, stretched out beneath the pine. In the 7th stanza of this choric song, the men once more reiterate what the alternative to returning home and creating more chaos would be. They could, and they in fact want to, just stay here on this particular island, the island of Lotos Eaters, propped on beds of amaranth and moly. Two different types of European plants, amaranth and moly. And moly is said to have had magical properties. Now they will relax with half-dropped eyelids and spend their days watching the river and the waters from their purple hill. The sea will now be to them just a sight in the distance. Why? Because they would only rest on this island and view the scenic beauty all around them. So the sea would also appear to be at a distance to them. There will be no more sailing or dangers they have to face. They will be guaranteed safety and endless days of gazing and rest on the rivers of this particular island. Now let's begin with the last stanza and the longest stanza of this poem. The lotus blooms below the barren peak. The lotus blows. The lotus blooms by every winding creek. All day the wind breathes, low with mellower tone. Through every hollow cave and alley lone, round and round the spicy dawns, the yellow lotus dust is blown. We have had enough of action and of motion we, rolled to starboard, rolled to larboard, when the surge was seething free. Where the bellowing monsters spouted his foam fountains in the sea, let us swear an oath and keep it with an equal mind, in the hollow lotus land to live and lie reclined, on the hills like gods together, careless of mankind. For they lie beside their nectar, and the bowls are hurled far below them in the valleys, and the clouds are lightly curled round their golden houses, girdled with the gleaming world, where they smile in secret, looking over wasted lands, blight and famine, plague and earthquake, roaring deeps and fiery sands, clanging fights and flaming towns and sinking ships and praying hands. But they smile. They find a music centered in a doleful song, steaming up, a lamentation and an ancient tale of wrong, like a tale of little meaning to the words, though the words are strong, chanted from an ill-used race of men that cleave the soil, sow the seed and reap the harvest with enduring toil, storing yearly little dews of wheat and wine and oil, till they perish and they suffer. Some, it is whispered, down in hell, suffer endless anguish. Others in Elysian valleys dwell, resting weary limbs at last on beds of asphodel, Surely, surely, slumber is more sweet than toil the shore, than labor in the deep mid ocean, wind and wave and oar. Oh, rest ye, brother mariners, we will not wander more. The final stanza of this section of the choric song and of the poem The Lotus Eaters is longer than the 7 that have preceded it. The speaker begins by describing how the lotus blooms everywhere that they look at. It survives in the most barren and most wet of places. The wind that gently blows through the island sweeps up the yellow lotus dust, most likely a reference to pollen grains, and carries it from place to place, spreading the plant farther. The men have had enough of action and being blown around on a ship from side to side. They no longer want to face the monsters of the deep, that is, the ocean. Instead, they state they will swear an oath to ignore the rest of mankind and only exert enough energy to lay around on the island and eat lotus. They will be like gods, observing but not interfering with mankind. This is a misinterpretation of the gods of Greek mythology, as they were most known for the inability to stop interfering with mankind. They were constantly changing the course of history. In the next half of this stanza, the sailors say that they see the gods as spending all their time just as the men are now. The only difference being that they recline alongside their nectar while hurling bolts, torches, thunderbolts of lightning into the valleys. The gods, they state, do not care about the impact of famine, plague, and earthquake on the humans below them. They smile, they means the god. They smile and listen to music while men suffer. Here the music refers to the prayers offered by human beings to God at the time of crisis when they are full of sorrow and pain. The speakers describe the music as being created by the gods' indifference, and it consists of human lamentation and misuse. The maltreatment of humans by the gods has been going on forever. It is an ancient problem, and the gods have enjoyed for all the time. They have enjoyed these songs, these mournful songs, throughout the years. Mankind is forced to sow the seed and reap the harvest with enduring toil. A person's life is made up of nothing but hard work and misery until they perish and they suffer, even down in hell. So, every person is not fortunate enough to go to heaven after death. Many people also suffer in hell. Others, the speakers state, are dwelling in Elysian valleys, that is, in paradise. These lucky beings are resting weary limbs on beds of asphodel, an immortal flower that grows in Elysian valley. They conclude the poem by restating that surely, definitely, slumber means sleep, rest is more sweet than toil. Toil means labor. So they conclude that yes, no doubt, rest and sleep and this drowsiness which they are feeling while staying on this island is better and sweeter than the labor which they have been doing or which they have been facing all through the years. And by reassuring one another that they will cease their wonders from now on. In the myth on which this poem is based, Odysseus, having not eaten from the lotus plant, is forced to carry his men back onto the ship and single-handedly sail away from the island. The men eventually come to their senses once again, once the magic of the plant has worn off. So with this we come to the end of this poem, The Lotus Eaters. Thank you.